Ethan's boots clicked lightly against the smooth metal floor of the alien city's transit platform. The air shimmered with strange energy, and lights floated in midair, glowing softly like fireflies. He had never seen anything like this. The Alari city was beautiful, almost alive, yet alien in every way. Towering spires glinted under the twin suns, and hovering vehicles zipped past, leaving streaks of neon light in their wake. Humans were rare here, and Ethan could feel the weight of every gaze on him. He wasn't here for sightseeing. The Interstellar Alliance had sent him as an envoy, a human capable of solving problems differently from any alien diplomat. His mind worked fast, and he knew that the Ilari valued ingenuity and courage, but he had not expected his first real test to come so soon. The city square was bustling. Citizens of all shapes moved around, their skin in colors he had never seen, some glowing faintly, others shifting hue with emotion. It was festival day. Music, mechanical yet melodic, filled the air, and holographic banners danced above the crowds. Ethan tried to blend in, but his height and human features made him stand out. Every glance reminded him that he was an outsider. Then chaos broke out. A group of armored figures emerged from a side alley, moving with terrifying precision. Their helmets hid their faces, and their glowing weapons hummed with dangerous energy. Panic spread like wildfire. People screamed and scattered. At the center of the square, a small figure ran, protected by guards, but clearly struggling to keep pace. Ethan's eyes widened. Princess Leora, the young heir to the Aelari throne, was the target. Ethan didn't think. His body reacted before his mind could catch up. He sprinted toward the princess, weaving through panicked citizens. One of the attackers swung a weapon of pure energy at her, and without hesitation, Ethan dove and pushed her out of the way. The blade struck the ground with a spark, sending shards of energy scattering. Pain shot through Ethan's side as he felt the strike from another attacker's baton. He staggered, gritting his teeth, but he refused to let go of the princess. He could see the fear in her glowing eyes, and he could not fail her. He spotted a loose scaffold above the square. An idea sparked. Kicking it hard, he sent it toppling onto the attackers. The metal structure crashed down with a deafening clang, trapping several of them. The remaining assailants hesitated, unsure of what to do. "Run!" Ethan shouted to the princess, pushing her toward safety. "Go!" Her small hand clutched his arm. "I can't leave you," she whispered, but there was no time. Another blast of energy struck the ground near them. Ethan shielded her with his body, taking the impact on his shoulder. Pain flared, but he ignored it. His focus was the princess, alive and safe. The royal guards arrived, overpowering the attackers with disciplined precision. Hovering drones scanned the area, ensuring no threats remained. Ethan sank to his knees, chest heaving. The princess looked at him, her expression a mixture of fear and amazement. "You saved me," she said softly. "Why?" "Because it was the right thing," Ethan replied, wincing as he pushed himself upright. "Because someone had to." The crowd had stopped screaming. They stared at him, whispering among themselves. Humans were known to be weak, reckless, and unpredictable, yet here was one who had faced death and emerged victorious. A small ripple of awe moved through the onlookers. A royal attendant arrived, helping the princess to her feet. She glanced at Ethan with gratitude. "You are hurt," she said. "You should come with me." Ethan hesitated. "I'm fine. Just get her safe." "You have saved more than her life, human," the attendant said. "You have honored the crown. The queen herself will want to meet you." Ethan's stomach tightened. Meeting the queen sounded less like an honor and more like stepping into the lion's den. He had no idea what awaited him, but he knew he could not refuse. The palace rose ahead like a crystal mountain. Its towers sparkled and energy fields shimmered around the gates. Ethan's human eyes struggled to take it all in. Inside, the corridors were even stranger. Floors glowed faintly underfoot. Walls pulsed with light, and platforms moved silently to carry them to different levels. He clutched his side as pain throbbed, but he focused on each step, determined not to falter. Finally, they reached a grand chamber. At its center, seated on a throne of light, was the queen, Seraphine. She radiated power, her silver hair flowing as if it were alive, her eyes sharp and piercing. She did not rise as they entered, but her gaze alone pinned Ethan in place. "You saved my daughter," the queen said, her voice calm, yet commanding. "And in doing so, you have bound yourself to the crown." Ethan froze. "Bound myself? I didn't." "Silence," she said, her gaze unwavering. "In Aelari law, anyone who saves a royal life is claimed. Their loyalty, service, and being are tied to the crown. You acted with courage and selflessness, human. For that I claim you." The words struck him like lightning. He had faced countless dangers, crossed hostile planets, survived treacherous missions, but nothing like this. To be claimed by an alien queen, it was beyond anything he could have imagined. Princess Leora stepped forward, her hand brushing Ethan's arm. "He saved me. Not for a law, not for a claim. For me," she said softly, her glowing eyes meeting his. Gratitude and something deeper, respect, trust, shone in her gaze. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, but she did not contradict her daughter. "That may be true," she said, "but the law is clear. You are mine, human, and the crown expects you to fulfill your duties." Ethan's mind raced. Duties, pledging allegiance? He had crossed stars alone, survived dangers no alien had faced, and now he was to be bound to an entire civilization. Yet beneath fear, determination sparked. He had faced impossible odds before and survived. He could navigate this as well. The queen gestured, and attendants began preparations for a ceremony. Ethan was to be formally recognized as the human who saved the princess and swear allegiance to the crown. Alien advisors scrutinized him, their expressions unreadable. Every move he made, every word he spoke would be judged. Ethan straightened his back. Pain flared in his shoulder and side, but he ignored it. He had faced life and death moments ago, and he would face this challenge too. He had one thing humans always had, courage, and humans had another, ingenuity. They saw solutions where others saw walls. Princess Leora looked at him again. "You are different," she whispered. Ethan gave a small nod, trying to smile. "Different, maybe, but ready." The ceremony began. Energy fields danced around the room. Attendants chanted in a language Ethan did not understand. He knelt, placing a hand over his heart as instructed. A bond invisible but undeniable seemed to form in the air. He could feel it, a pull that tied him to the crown and the queen's decree. Despite the fear, despite the unknown, Ethan felt something swell within him. Humans had survived because they dared to act, to take risks, to face danger when others hesitated. Today that courage had saved a princess, and today that courage had set him on a path that would change not just his life, but perhaps the fate of the Alari kingdom itself. Outside, the festival continued. Citizens returned cautiously to their celebrations, unaware that a single human had altered the course of history. Within the palace walls, a queen had claimed a human forever, and the human had accepted. Not out of duty alone, but because bravery and honor were universal, and humans had them in abundance. Ethan looked at Princess Leora once more. "We'll get through this," he said quietly. She nodded, her gaze steady. "I know we will." And as the twin suns set over the alien city, Ethan understood that he had stepped into a world of unknown laws, dangerous politics, and extraordinary challenges. Yet for the first time in his life, he also understood this. Being human meant something here. Courage, loyalty, and quick thinking were not limited to Earth. They could shine across galaxies. Ethan had survived the impossible today, and tomorrow he would face an entirely new impossible, the life the queen had claimed him for. Ethan awoke in a chamber that seemed alive. The walls shimmered with soft light, pulsing gently as if breathing. Strange symbols moved across the walls, flowing like liquid, and hovering orbs floated silently above his bed. He rubbed his shoulder where the energy baton had struck, still sore. But the pain was nothing compared to what he had faced yesterday. A soft chime echoed, and a door slid open without sound. A maid entered, moving with perfect grace. She held a tray with food and a drink that glowed faintly. Ethan eyed it warily. Humans had adapted to many foods across the stars, but this was alien to him. "You must eat," she said in perfect common, the human-interpreted language. "It will help your body recover. The queen requests your presence in 1 hour." Ethan sat up slowly, swallowing hard. "Queen, again?" "Yes," she said simply, placing the tray on a hovering table. "She wishes to meet you formally after the events of yesterday." Ethan exhaled. Formal meetings with royalty were one thing. Being claimed by the queen was something entirely different. Yet he had no choice. The law was clear, and resisting would only bring trouble. After finishing the strange meal, he dressed in the clothing provided, a uniform that glimmered faintly, designed to signify his status as the human who saved the princess. As he stepped into the corridor, Attendants guided him to a large elevator platform. It rose silently, giving him a panoramic view of the city. Ethan could see the scale of the kingdom for the first time. Buildings spiraled upward like silver trees connected by glowing walkways. Hovering vehicles passed in streams, and citizens below paused to watch him as he ascended. The platform stopped, and Ethan stepped into a hall that seemed to stretch endlessly. At its far end sat the queen, Seraphine, on a throne of light that pulsed with authority. Alien advisors, generals, and scholars stood around her, each observing him carefully. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating. "Human," the queen began, her voice carrying through the hall without amplification, yet clear to all ears. "You have acted with courage beyond your kind. That is why I claimed you, but understanding the bond you are now under is vital." Ethan bowed quickly. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will serve as required." Seraphine's gaze held him in place. "You may understand the law, but you do not yet comprehend its weight. To be claimed is not just a formality. It is a bond of loyalty, duty, and responsibility that ties you to the crown. You are now part of this kingdom. Your actions reflect not only upon yourself, but upon all humans who may come after you." Ethan nodded. The responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders. Humans were adaptable, yes, but he had never faced an entire civilization's expectations before. Still, he refused to show fear. He had survived worse. "First," the queen continued, "you will undergo training. You will learn our customs, our laws, and our ways of combat. You will also meet the royal council, and your insight may be required in matters of diplomacy and security. Your human perspective is unusual but valuable." Ethan's mind raced. Combat and diplomacy? He had experience, yes, but this was a kingdom with laws and rituals he barely understood. "I will do my best, Your Majesty," he said. "That is expected," she replied. "You will start with understanding our customs. You will dine with the princess later. Observe, learn, and act wisely." He was guided to a training chamber unlike any military facility he had ever seen. The walls were lined with glowing panels, energy fields simulating opponents and environmental hazards. The floor shifted underfoot, testing balance and agility. Alien instructors, tall and elegant, demonstrated forms of combat and strategy he had never encountered. Ethan trained tirelessly. His human reflexes, quick thinking, and ability to improvise amazed the instructors. Where alien students relied on predictable patterns and strict technique, Ethan adapted fluidly, anticipating moves, using his environment and sometimes acting in ways that seemed reckless but worked flawlessly. One instructor, a stern Alari named Valen, approached him after a session. "Your techniques are chaotic human, yet effective. There is something in your species I do not understand. You see solutions where others see limits." Ethan shrugged, wiping sweat from his brow. "Sometimes thinking differently is the only way to survive." Valen studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Perhaps humans are special." After training, he was brought to a dining chamber to meet Princess Leora again. She was seated at a low table, her eyes bright and curious. "You survived the training?" she asked teasingly. Ethan smirked. "Barely, your people are good at this." "I have to admit, it's harder than saving a princess." Leora laughed, a sound like crystal chimes. "I am glad you survived, human. I would not forgive it if anything happened to you again." Ethan felt warmth at her words. Despite the danger, the politics, and the alien laws, there was something humanizing in her reaction. Gratitude, respect, perhaps even trust. He would earn that trust. Over the following days, Ethan learned more about the kingdom. He observed council meetings, listened to debates among generals, and even offered suggestions. His perspective, direct, pragmatic, and human, often revealed solutions that the Alari had not considered. They had advanced technology and knowledge, yes, but humans had adaptability and moral courage that shone in crises. One afternoon, during a council meeting, an urgent message arrived. A rogue faction threatened the city outskirts, planning to disrupt the festival celebrations and create chaos. The generals prepared to send troops, but Ethan noticed something others overlooked, a weak point in their strategy. "You cannot approach from the north," he said. "They expect it. Move your forces west and set traps. Draw them into the city's energy fields. You can contain them without risking civilians." The generals exchanged glances. Valen looked at him sharply. "You are confident?"